area. What can I do? How should I work? Please do not hesitate to ask questions. Any kind of research related question. Career path aligning with. Thank you. convert it into an interactive session. Thank you very much, sir. You welcome, sir.
Somebody will do it. Well, let us not lose time. Very good morning to all of you. And uh, Professor Raya and other faculty members and my dear students, it's a pleasure and privilege to be amongst you today. And let me understand first while I'm whether I'm reachable to all of you or not. Am I audible to all of you? Now, if I'm audible, then I'm fine. The idea of I'm talking to you is just not to lecture you, because the idea behind talking today is twofold. First, 15, 20 minutes, maybe at best half an hour, I will be interested in telling you uh, certain basic things about research. Basic things. And then I'll move into the research design another half an hour. And maybe the last half an hour, I will be interested in responding to your query. Of course, I will get more chances to respond to your queries, but that will be my intent. And towards that end, let me begin with what I wanted to speak to you. Now, my introduction has already been given. That's not important for me. What is important in showing you this photograph is that I work for three different organizations. One is a university system where I spent about 14, 15 years. And then there is a IIT system. This is Banaras University. I don't know if it works or not. Then there is IIT system where also I worked around 14 years. And then there is a military system, which is DRDO headquarters. So I worked there also for about 14 years. So with 42 years in my spending in terms of research, uh, and of course teaching is associated with research, I would like to share my experience with all of you instead of trying to lecture you. What I really found during these periods, I started my journey in doing research, did my PhD in 1982. So at that point of time, the research was slightly of different order and kind. And today, the nature, the kind of paradigms, the kind of design, the kind of, innovations being made are different. Given that wide perspective, I would first like to tell you that certain basic things about research. Then I'll enter into research per se. Let us not forget that anytime we enter into formal education, we start doing research from day one actually. And much of our learning in research actually comes from you, those who are students here sitting. Because in research, it is always important to be a good raw material rather than a good finished product. So more you have got original ideas. I can't get an original idea. At my age, it's not possible to have an original idea. So students are the assets for all of us because we derive most of our research ideas from students only because they move around, they see things, they understand from their perspective, we draw inspiration from all of you, and thereafter we try to level it to a research program. So many of my students often ask this question, sir, what you have been teaching in the class is also available in the Google. So is there a necessity for talking about all those things which are already there in the literature, maybe in the internet, maybe in the print material, because students are pretty good. They can absorb information much better as compared to what we can do. But let us try to first understand why we are there as teachers to tell you about research. The idea is that as teachers, our job is not to give you information. Our job is to give you input information. So giving input information requires a template. As a teacher, we only give you the template. And to collect information, material input from there is your job. So naturally, you have got more information and we have got a better strength as a person who can give you the template for registering information. That's the fundamental difference. So research starts from there. Let us try to see what are the different kinds of researches we are talking about. We follow my goal. So one is research requires a framework of mind. We require a framework of mind. Let's say whether you are passionate about doing a research or whether you have got that's good. And we have to. Am I still audible to all of you? Okay. So research requires a frame of mind. Uh, you are passionate about doing research, or you have got a purpose behind it. If I'm passionate, then I'll do it to a different topic. And if I have a purpose, then I'll have a different topic. To give you a number of examples. While I was in DRDO, military, military defense, everything that I used to do had a purpose. Without purpose, they will not allow you a single penny. But if you have a purpose, we did not even any restriction on budget. Any budget, doesn't matter. But we rarely used to do it passion-based research. Passion-based researches are done in university system. Very important. And between passion and purpose, there is a system which is called IIT system. When passion and purpose are correctly mixed to generate R&D, research and development. So research, design, development, and delivery are different steps in research. We just not do research. We have to design it, we have to develop it, then we have to deliver it. If I don't deliver, your thesis will remain in one corner of the library. Nobody will even pick it up. And we'll do dusting on that as well. What is the fun of doing such research where nobody bothers about what I have done? You only bother because you will get a degree and with that you will get a job. That's fine. I don't disagree with that. So you have to decide first whether you are interested in doing a pattern-based research or a purpose-based research. Then comes you would like to do research based on your capacity to innovate or based on your capacity to intuitively understand the research problem. There's a fundamental difference between two research. Innovative research is those research which is based on your logical processes. You logically try to analyze the problem. and then come out with a solution. But intuitive research is such when you believe that, well, I will try to find a relationship between two variables. I can give you an example of intuitive research. Very recently, science has published a research that perception depends on your heartbeat. If your heartbeat is wrong, your time perception will also be wrong. Which means, covertly, we actually calculate our beat as well. It's a intuitive research where people find that apparently two unrelated variables have some relation. अगर 1 minute को पूछेगा heartbeat and time perception, nobody would bother about it. But in the research of the fact that there might be some relation. And today we know that if you have got heartbeat arrhythmia, your time perception is also becoming poor. So one is a thinking-based research, other is a blinking-based research. Blinking means suddenly the idea pops up. Intuition. Your idea pops up suddenly. You don't make an effort. That effort probably is going in your unconscious thought for several months and years, and suddenly it pops up. So you have to decide whether you will do an innovative research or intuitive research. Then you have to decide about your mind and mindset. If you are interested in utilizing your mind only, then you are doing an aptitude-based research. And if you believe your interest is more about mindset, attitude, that how I should do a very well-designed, well-crafted, well-documented research, it requires attitude. You know exactly that. Aptitude and attitude have got sibling rivalry. Both are within you, but they have got an generally rivalry. So you have to decide whether you are trying to do an intellectually intriguing kind of research. You would like to do a research when you know that you have to go you have to traverse a long job path. Field research is basically it may require less of aptitude, more of attitude. Like in criminological sciences, you know that you have to go to this field. There is very little to discover in terms of an idea. You have to generate an idea. Therefore, your research should be more exploratory type. So if the research is exploratory type, then it requires a lot of attitude. So, mindset, what kind of research you will be doing. And then you would like to know whether you would like to do a research which is based on your that is you would like to navigate into the future or driven by the past. Driven by the past, most of us are doing literature survey, no? Whenever we do research. So that means you believe that every new knowledge is an extension of old knowledge. If you believe every new knowledge is an extension of old knowledge, you are driven by the past. But if you think that, well, whatever is the past knowledge I don't want to see, I would like to come up with something new, then you will not see whatever has done in the past. In whether your research would be navigating into future driven by the past, आपको decide करना है दोनों में से कोई एक. And you would like to do a research within your subject matter. You would like to go beyond your subject matter. If you want to do research within your subject matter, then I would call it as identity-based research. But if you want to take
many other sciences with you, then it becomes a integrity-based research. That is, other disciplines are taken into account in that fold. So generally हम लोग चार तरह के रिसर्चेस करते हैं. एक तो है विद इन डिसिप्लिन और एक होता है बिटवीन डिसिप्लिन. बिटवीन डिसिप्लिन में इट कैन बी मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी, इट कुड बी इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी, इट कुड बी ट्रांसडिसिप्लिनरी. Between the subjects में तीन तरह का. For example, in RRU, you have got different departments. You have got computer science, you have got criminological science, you have got forensic science, you have got behavioral science. If I believe that two sciences can come together and their finding can be shared, then we call it a multidisciplinary research. But if I believe that two departments or two disciplines will come together, will share their findings, at the same time will share their methodology as well, then it becomes interdisciplinary research. But if you believe if you do research where there would be no boundary of finding and methodology, you will create a new methodology in order to solve a problem, then it becomes a transdisciplinary research. Am I clear to you? So, within discipline and between discipline. Between discipline में भी आपके पास तीन तरह का डिसिप्लिनरी रिसर्चेस पॉसिबल है. तो आप देख लो कि आप within the discipline रिसर्च कर रहे हो, identity based, integrity based. If it is an integrity based research, then you have to decide, are you doing a multidisciplinary research, interdisciplinary research, or transdisciplinary research? So today, since I've been undertaking research in various universities in the world, fine. Very recently, I was doing some research in UPenn University of Pennsylvania. Most of the researches are transdisciplinary. If you are sticking within your own discipline, then people will not bother much because it's the same old knowledge which is percolating within. But if you're doing a transdisciplinary research, it means you will share findings with other disciplines, you will share methodology with the other disciplines, and not only that, you will create a new methodology, and therefore there will be a new finding as well. So you have to decide what kind of research you would be doing. Maybe a graduate program, postgraduate program, a PhD MPhil program, or PhD program, whatever. All researches are research. I know some of my very good students actually bought their research program while they were doing practicals in the class. While they were doing practicals in the class, that message they have drawn up to the level of PhD. But the difference between a classroom practical and research is this, that in classroom practical, you have got two known variables. And you also know what would be the outcome as well. So known variable and known outcome in classroom practical. But when you do PhD, you still have got known variable, but you have got an unknown outcome. That's the fundamental difference between a classroom practical and a research. So when you do research, then actually it promotes you to innovate simply because of the fact you are going to get something new what others are not aware of. So the novelty factor and the newness mostly through transdisciplinary research. Am I clear to all of you? Now, we talked about framework of mind. Now I talk to you about framework of research. The research framework that you have to decide whether you would come out with a product, you would understand a process. A product and process में तो अंतर है. If people are in computer science, then if you are in robotics, then you will be coming out with a product. But if you want to understand computational intelligence, it becomes a process. So whether you will do a process-based work whether you would be doing a product-based work. Suppose this is my mobile phone. I would like to come out with a new design, new kind of mobile phone. It's a product-based research. But if I want to know how handheld mobile phone could be implanted somewhere in my body so that I do not have to carry it all the time. And yes, such researches are going on. In fact, people have been thinking of implanting the mobile phone in the brain. I mean, there are a lot of military researches are going on that. Now, these are the kind of researches you have to decide whether you would like to come out with a deliverable, like let me take a medical example. If you want to come out with a new drug, then it's a product. But if you want to know what is the process through which the new drug works, what are the contraindications of those new drugs, then in such case, you would be interested in process research. So in social sciences, mostly we do the process research. But in engineering sciences, we mostly do product. When engineering sciences do the process research, it is called technology research. When engineering sciences do the product research, then it becomes a different kind of research where product becomes more important. Then you have to decide whether you will do a structured research or autonomous research. Structured research and autonomous researches are two different kinds of research. Structured research means when you have a completely structured environment like RIU. You have got institution, you have got a library, you have got a fund, you have got a mentor, you have got a teaching program. Everything is top down, and ultimately you are doing research. This is called structured research. Autonomous research, if you have to understand about autonomous research, you have to go to the village, and you will find that most of the innovations in this country are coming from those people who are not having any literacy. They are mostly pre-literate, which is called bottom-up research, where people are faced with a problem and they come out with their own solutions. We call it as non-expert based innovation. Non-expert based innovation means आपके पास कोई एजुकेशन नहीं है, आपके पास एबीसी पता नहीं है, पर आप ब्रिज बना देते हो. जैसे आप लोगों में से कोई anybody is from Meghalaya? No, nobody. If you go to Meghalaya, you will find that everywhere there are rivers and nalas, and government doesn't have enough money to have a bridge on every nala. So the villagers decided that they will come up with a solution. And what solution? They built a live root based bridge, which is of rubber tree. रबर ट्री का जो लाइव रूट है ना, इज स्ट्रॉन्गर देन स्टील. तो इन्होंने लाइव रूट ऑफ रबर ट्री के ऊपर बेस करके ब्रिज बना दिया, टूटा है, उसके ऊपर तो आप गाड़ी. Everything goes on that, and it has become so popular that UNESCO has now promoted tourists from other countries to come and see it. This is a non-expert based solution. One such non-expert based solution मैं आपको और बता दूं, जिसे ऑटोनोमस रिसर्च कहते हैं. जैसे गांव में हैंडपंप लगा हुआ है, सबको पंप करना पड़ता है, and for women it is very difficult to pump it every time and get the water. So some of the villagers have decided to create a tube well which is actually a seesaw. बच्चे जिस पर खेलते हैं. तो टिफिन आवर्स में बच्चा जो है, दो बच्चे जो है, they usually do the swinging in seesaw and the water comes out of it. It's a pump, basically. It's a pump, the children are playing and nobody is actually to put their level into getting the water out. These are called autonomous researchers. Some of you who are interested in doing autonomous researches must go to the field and see what are people's ideas. Because those ideas are original ideas, raw ideas. In university system, if you are only in the laboratory, in the library, you will never get an original idea. Original idea will always come from the field. So whether you would like to do a structured research कि हाँ फेलोशिप मिल जाए, लाइब्रेरी मिल जाए, सुपरवाइजर मिल जाए, टॉपिक मिल जाए, मैं रिसर्च को कर लूं, इट्स ए टॉप डाउन रिसर्च, वो भी ठीक है, हम लोग सब ऐसे ही किए हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि हम ऑटोनोमस रिसर्च करके आगे बढ़े हैं, बट ऑटोनोमस रिसर्च इज ऑल्सो ए काइंड ऑफ रिसर्च जिसमें आप आइडियाज को ले सकते हो और उन आइडियाज के ऊपर बेस करके यू कैन एक्चुअली टेक इट टू ए स्ट्रक्चर्ड लेवल। इसकी जरूरत इसलिए है क्योंकि ऑटोनोमस रिसर्च का प्रॉब्लम यही है कि यू कैन जनरेट आइडिया, यू कैन कम आउट विद सॉल्यूशन, but most of these solutions are one hit success story. They are not scalable. They are not scalable. तो अगर प्लेटफॉर्म की जगह हम शीशा लगा दे गांव-गांव में, इसको स्केल तो करना पड़ेगा ना, मल्टीपल नंबर पे लगाना पड़ेगा, तो इसमें आपको इंजीनियरिंग नॉलेज की जरूरत है, बिकॉज मल्टीपल अगर हम करें तो उसके लिए एक प्रोडक्शन साइट होनी चाहिए, अगर हम प्रोडक्शन साइट देखें तो उसके लिए एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग लाइन बननी चाहिए, उसके लिए एक एंड यूजर इंटीग्रेशन होनी चाहिए, तो लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स आर इन्वॉल्व इन स्केलिंग। अगर आपको स्केल करना है तो दोनों को लाना है, स्ट्रक्चर्ड एंड ऑटोनोमस रिसर्च। डिसाइड आपको करनी है शुरुआत कहां से होएगा, whether I start doing structured research from laboratory itself, laboratory to field, whether I will do research from field to laboratory, whether it would be a top-down research or is a bottom-up research. Then comes whether it would be a basic research or a translational research. Then you have to decide interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. And then finally, I have already discussed, so I am not discussing this point. Finally, you have to decide whether you will do a customary research or a non-traditional research. Customary research means जो है जो already available हो, already available topics हैं, उसमें से आप चुन लें which topic you like most. That's customary research. But non-traditional research is a research which is not known otherwise. I mean, research field में तो कम से कम known नहीं है, तो अगर इस तरह का कोई आप रिसर्च करना चाहो तो आपको आपकी जो सोच है, माइंडसेट है, ऑल टुगेदर डिफरेंट होनी चाहिए इफ यू वांट टू डू नॉन ट्रेडिशनल रिसर्च। फिर देख लें कि इनोवेशन फ्रेमवर्क हम किसको कहते हैं। यू विल रीड लेटर, let me first explain it to you, then you can suppose you are doing research in RRU and you would like to do innovation based research, because intuition का तो कोई पता नहीं है ना कब क्योंकि बन पाओगे, अल्टीमेटली कोई आइडिया आ पाएगा कि नहीं, यू कांट वेट ऑल अलोंग ना। इंट्यूटिव रिसर्च करने के लिए तो आपको बहुत मिलेंगे, पर इनोवेटिव रिसर्च करने के लिए यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रोसेस। तो इतना आप जान लीजिए, रिसर्च एक प्रोसेस है, एक डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन है। रिसर्च ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको कुछ डिस्कवरी करनी है। अगर कोई डिस्कवरी करना भी है, किसी को नोबेल प्राइज भी मिलना भी है, तो 75 ईयर से तो पहले तो नहीं मिल पाएगा। एवरेज एज ऑफ द पीपल हु आर गेटिंग नोबेल प्राइज इज 75 प्लस। सो डिस्कवरी के चक्कर में हम अगर टाइम लगा दें अनलिमिटेड टू डू रिसर्च, नॉट अ वेरी फीजिबल पॉसिबल वे टू डू रिसर्च। आपको अगर रिसर्च करनी है तो यू मस्ट लर्न हाउ टू डू रिसर्च। दैट component is most important. That's why it is a formal degree. How? So the question is, innovation based research अगर करना है, top down research अगर करना है, इसमें तीन पॉलिसी है। या तो आप you can no knowledge to new knowledge, a very very fundamental difficult way of doing research, no knowledge to new knowledge, or you can do research which is based on existing knowledge, but you are challenging the existing knowledge. That's the second type. You are challenging the existing knowledge. That's the second type of innovation. And the third type of innovation is that you accept the existing knowledge, you are not challenging it, but you are getting at least a surprise element into it. There are सेम वर्क को रिपीट कर दें या उसी के इर्द गिर्द आसपास घूमते रहे, तो ये क्लासरूम प्रैक्टिकली हम कहेंगे पीएचडी के बाद। हम उसे पीएचडी तो नहीं कर पाएंगे। आई विल कॉल इट एज ए practical work, maybe a higher level practical work. But basically 3 तरह से हम इनोवेट कर सकते हैं, या तो नो नॉलेज टू न्यू नॉलेज, या तो चैलेंजिंग द एग्जिस्टिंग नॉलेज, या तो आई ब्रिंग ए सरप्राइज एलिमेंट टू द एग्जिस्टिंग नॉलेज। ये 3 तरह से हम कर सकते हैं। हम तीनों के लिए एक एग्जांपल दिए हैं। देखिए, will AI augment or replace human intelligence? Nobody knows. So it can be a no knowledge to new knowledge. किसी को पता तो है नहीं कि AI will actually replace the existing knowledge or not. Artificial intelligence किसी को नहीं पता है। So it can, if you try to do such kind of research, then it would be no knowledge to new knowledge. But if you challenge the existing knowledge, does brain hallucinate our conscious reality? Does brain hallucinate? Are we hallucinating currently? जिसे हम consciousness कहते हैं, is it form of hallucination? Or reality is that when we remain unconscious, what is more real? During sleep, you get reality, and during waking state, you get fantasy. Just the reverse of it. It's a kind of research where you actually challenge the existing knowledge. And then, if it is surprise element, I give you an example. Is there a correlation between heartbeat and time perception? It's a third kind of research. So, these topics are too difficult. Not that आपको ऐसे ही कुछ करना है, but एक framework हम develop करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं आपके लिए कि these are the different ways researches can be done. Generally हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि रिसर्च के नाम पे सबसे पहले हम सुपरवाइजर से पूछते हैं कि हम किस टॉपिक पे रिसर्च करें। भाई टॉपिक तो रिसर्च खत्म होने के बाद डिसाइड किया जाता है ना। एक्चुअली डॉक्टर के पास पूछिए ना, डॉक्टर को पूछिए कि आपने डायग्नोसिस कब खत्म करा। डॉक्टर कहेगा पेशेंट ठीक हो जाने के बाद में कंफर्म किए कि डायग्नोसिस हमारा ठीक ठाक था। वैसे ही रिसर्च है, एक टॉपिक आप शुरू में डिसाइड तो करते हो, बट जब आपका रिसर्च खत्म हो जाता है तभी एक प्रोविजन दिया जाता है सभी यूनिवर्सिटीज में कि आप कर सकते हो रिसर्च टाइटल में, क्योंकि research जब complete किया हो, now it is time for you to shape it properly. You can actually do that in that process. So the question is, what kind of research I will be doing? ये डिपेंड करेगा आपके चॉइस, टाइम, एनर्जी के ऊपर। Am I clear up to? देखो, अगर कोई इशू है तो बोलो, because I can then change my gear. Change my gear to the other level. But is it okay? These are the philosophies behind doing research. Normally हम चाहते क्या है कि रिसर्च की जो डिजाइन है में क्विकली पता चल जाए, तो it will hasten my research work quickly. But that's a shortcut. That shortcut creates a mental shortcut. Mental shortcut को कहते हैं माइंडसेट। आपके पास माइंड है मगर यूज कर रहे हो माइंडसेट को। So if you try to actually do research, you need to be more exploratory in nature rather than exploitative in nature. You need to explore more, exploit less. Okay, exploit less means exploiting existing knowledge. If you want to explore, then only your horizon will open up. If you do not, then existing जो भी है आप उसी के इर्द घूमते रहोगे। Oh, now you read it and tell me whether you understand this or not. That रिसर्च जो हम these are basic philosophies behind research. एक किताब किताब में नहीं है, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. I have not drawn a single word from any source. I am utilizing my experience of last 42 years of doing research, and 6 people also did PhD with me, and about several research associates also worked with me. Whatever I have learned from my students, I am just trying to translate you in a format, in a template, which will help you understand where you stand actually today. That's the fundamental purpose. So one of the stand that I have understood from my students is that some students came to me and tell, sir, instead of testing a hypothesis, I would like to generate a hypothesis. हम लोग क्या करते हैं, 99% हम लोग हाइपोथेसिस को टेस्ट ही ना करते हैं. Hypothesis is tested for the express purpose of being rejected. null hypothesis का नाम सुने हो ना? तो the express purpose of being rejected, हम जानते हैं इसे reject करना है, and then we create a hypothesis. But that's a hypothesis testing. Some research where you actually generate hypotheses. These are exploratory kind of research. Like qualitative research, those anybody is doing qualitative research. Those who are doing qualitative research will understand what is called hypothesis generation. You can do a quantitative research, you can do a qualitative research. Those who are doing qualitative research, they are mostly into hypothesis generation. Then आप ये भी डिसाइड करते हो कि आप रिसर्च के जरिए किसी हाइपोथेसिस की जो वैलिडिटी है वो जानना चाहते हो या हाइपोथेसिस की यूटिलिटी को जानना चाहते हो. वैलिडिटी वर्सेस यूटिलिटी, ये सब वर्ड्स भी हम अपने से क्वाइन किए. For my own students, not that only for you, for my own students. In IIT also, in IIM, wherever I have been teaching, I don't teach a research methodology. I actually undertake research methodology as practice rather than teaching. So these are actually based on the kind of experience that I have generated while we conduct research in various institutions. Some institutions are university, some institutions are IIT, some institutions are R&D like DRDO and CSIR, and some institutions don't do any research. They only do end user integration research. So I think I have said enough about it. I will not go, if unless there is a problem, I'll explain it. But these are the basic philosophies behind this research. Unless you decide in which line you would like to progress and proceed, it would be difficult for you. You will remain in a state of confusion. क्या करूं, रिसर्च का मतलब क्या है? I mean, should I float in the air and try to see where I can actually land myself? Or you have got a definite direction that you are flying, but you have somewhere to land. कहाँ लैंड करोगे, इसके लिए अगर स्ट्रक्चर्ड नॉलेज इनपुट आपके पास नहीं है, तो you will suffer from some degree of research anxiety, and then you will suffer from an anxiety. What I often say personally in my own terms, extension of hypothetical missed opportunity. So probably मैंने गलती कर दिया यहाँ आने आके. I made a mistake of coming here. जिसे आप FOMO कहते हो, FOMO, fear of missing opportunity. उसको हम कहते हैं apprehension of hypothetical missed opportunity. ये एक hypothetical मेरे से आप नहीं होगा, क्योंकि ये तो कुछ दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है. Lot of people say in research, सर आप नहीं, short exam, 3 साल 4 साल काम करने के बाद उनको लगता है कि उनको कुछ दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है. वो they start blaming the supervisor. अरे सुपरवाइजर का भी सोचो, उनको भी कुछ नहीं दिखाई देता है, क्योंकि सुपरवाइजर there is a rivalry between candidate and supervisor. There is a rivalry. And supervisor को सोचो, first of all supervisor के लिए thankless job है. The second thing is that supervisor also goes with the wind of your mind. Where your mind is going, how supervisor will get to know? Unless they are in constant touch with each other. भाई 3-4 साल समय तो लग ही जाते हैं। ये 3-4 साल में तो 3-4 साल क्या 30 साल में हम अपने बच्चों को नहीं समझ पाते थे, आपको क्या समझ जाएंगे? It takes time. It takes time. तो पेशेंस आपको भी चाहिए, आपको भी चाहिए। But दोनों का पेशेंस अगर काम करे तो फायदा किसको होगा? आपको पता नहीं कितना होगा, सुपरवाइजर को पता नहीं कितना होगा, कंट्री को तो होगा। The country will benefit. And by doing PhD, you not only help yourself, you not only help supervisor, you create a generation. You create a generation. Your next generation will say that you did PhD. So it's just not about another BA degree, BSc degree, MA degree, MSc degree. It's much more than that. You create a generation. Oh, इसको पढ़ लीजिए। तो फाइनली इतना कुछ जो मैंने बताया, भूमिका जो मैंने दी है, तो आपको डिसाइड करना है कि ये 7 में से कहाँ आप अपने को लाओगे, किस पॉइंट पे। आप एक बार पढ़ लो इसको। There are 7 kinds of research possible in any science. Any science, 7 kinds. You can't do all these steps, all these kinds of research in one go. You have to select one. आप किस जगह टिक करोगे अपने आप को, ये आपके ऊपर निर्भर करेगा। This research is always done not based on your head, what your heart says, your heart, your interest. What is that your heart wants that you would like to do this? Research doesn't depend on your ability. Research depends on your interest. So interest is your heart, ability is your head, and expectation is from the university. So interest, ability, and expectations, there must be a convergence. Unless there is, देखो मास्टर्स डिग्री तक आपकी एबिलिटी है, जब आपको रिसर्च करनी है उसके बाद या विदिन मास्टर्स ऑल्सो अगर आपको रिसर्च करना है, यू मस्ट यूटिलाइज योर हार्ट। भीतर से आपको क्या लग रहा है कि किस तरह का रिसर्च मैं करूं, क्योंकि रिसर्च करने के लिए कोई आपको फोर्स नहीं करता, आप अपने को फोर्स करते हो कि मेरे को रिसर्च करनी है। जब आप अपने को फोर्स करते हो तो भीतर से आपको आवाज सुनाई देगी, दिस इज माई हार्ट सेइंग, दिस इज माई इंटरेस्ट विच इज स्पीकिंग, आई मस्ट डू दैट, जिससे हमको करियर मिलेगा, जिससे डेवलप माई लाइफ एज वेल। तो लाइफ एंड करियर को अगर जोड़ना है, रिसर्च इज द मीडियम। हम हमेशा कहते हैं कि करियर इज विद इन लाइफ, लाइफ इज नॉट विद इन करियर। दोनों को मिलाना है तो रिसर्च इज ए जंक्शन बिटवीन लाइफ एंड करियर, क्योंकि उससे यू डेवलप ए जनरेशन, यू डेवलप ए लाइफ, ऑल्सो यू डेवलप ए करियर। तो ये 7 कैटेगरी ऑफ रिसर्चेस है। आप में से कोई एक जने तो बोल दें कि which type of research you would, what kind of research you would like to do. If it is not clear, I will explain everything. I just wanted to know, I mean, whether I am making redundant speeches or whether it's understandable to you. Any one kind, if you can tell. Yes, I see someone. You want to speak? No. Anybody? Yes, Bolo.
Okay, so my will be mostly on pure basic research, new knowledge to theory building. The topic is the impact of weather variability on the mental health of defense personnel, a comparative study, which will compare the extreme weathers.
Okay. So why do you call it as a basic research?
As of now, I am saying only there is not much literature available. I have seen some literature which will only speak about PTSD, antisocial depression, but there is no mostly like definite.
You mean to say you want to do high altitude research? I can give you, you say not much literature, but I can give you 50,000 because I was director of that lab. I can give you 50,000. I'm not trying to discourage you. You do it. You do it. Researches are mostly on military personnel. Okay. But we do not know any, we have got no idea how civilians actually share. Now, this is not a pure basic research. That's the reason I wanted someone to talk about. Pure basic research means where you understand only the process. But if you want to see cause-effect relationship, pure basic research is done mostly on correlational level. Cause-effect relationship, which climate affects whom, like desert affects whom. For example, I myself stayed under the sea. I stayed in desert. I stayed in high altitude. I stayed in North Pole. Stayed everywhere. And the kind of research that I promoted was that, well, is there any cognitive changes when you change your environment? Now, if I want to understand the cognitive process in different stages, when there is less of oxygen, like in high altitude, and in the morning I was talking about it actually. If you go to North Pole, I was in North Pole, and I did not find much difficulty because there is no altitude. Altitude was only 1,000 feet. But if you go to Seattle, it would be 20,000 feet. So altitude and the temperature, if they come together, then only depression and anxiety and forgetfulness come. And depression and anxiety doesn't come in that way. I mean, I'm giving you some hint. If you want to do it forward, depression and anxiety is not related to high altitude and coldness. They are related simply because less of oxygen. If you get less of oxygen, you tend to forget simple things. आप बच्चों का नाम भूल जाते हो, घर का नाम भूल जाते, एड्रेस भूल जाते हो, तब आपको डिप्रेशन होने लगता है, मेरे को हो क्या रहा है, तब आप एंग्जाइयस हो जाते हो कि हमको क्या हो रहा है। जब आप एंग्जाइटी को संभाल नहीं पाते हो तब आपको डिप्रेशन हो जाता है। ठीक है, ये बेसिकली इट्स ए कॉग्निटिव प्रॉब्लम। आप इस प्रोसेस को अगर जानना चाहो तो इट वुड बी अ बेसिक रिसर्च, बट इस प्रोसेस के बियॉन्ड अगर जाना चाहो कि आई मीन थ्योरी टू प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ एप्लीकेशन, कि ठीक है मेरे को पता है कि कॉग्निटिव डिस्टर्बेंसेस की वजह से ये हो रहा है, तो मैं व्हाट इज दैट आई कैन डू? कैन आई डेवलप सर्टेन मॉड्यूल्स जिसमें कि हम मेमोरी को रीएनर्जाइज कर सकें, और मेमोरी को अगर हम रीएनर्जाइज कर दें एटीट्यूड में, आई मीन देयर आर मेनी प्रोसेस, देन आप प्रिंसिपल को देखना चाह रहे हो। अगर प्रिंसिपल से अगर आप डिस्कवरी ऑफ सोल्यूशन में लाना चाहते हो, तब आपको डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा क्या हम कोई कंप्यूटर गेम डिसाइड कर सकते हैं जिसमें मेमोरी सेंटर को हम बार बार हिट करें और ब्लड सर्कुलेशन विद इन द ब्रेन बढ़ा दें, तो हमारा मेमोरी डेफिसिट नहीं हो पाएगा। तो इन सच केस हम डिस्कवरी ऑफ सोल्यूशन पे आएंगे। डिस्कवरी ऑफ सोल्यूशन से अगर आप ट्रांसलेशन पे जाना चाहते हो, तब हम कोई गेम को बना के स्ट्रक्चर करके स्टैंडर्डाइज करके आप डिफेंस पर्सनल को दे सकते हो। फिर उसके बाद अगर आपको लगता है कि ठीक है मैंने तो बना के दे दिया, ट्रांसलेट भी कर दिया है, लार्ज स्केल में अगर यूटिलाइज करना है तो उसको स्केलेबल भी बनानी पड़ेगी। तो आप एंड यूजर इंटीग्रेशन तक जाना चाहते हो, तब आप कोई एक ग्रुप को आउटसोर्स कर दोगे, आपका जो टेक्निक है उसको टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर कर दोगे डिफरेंट वेंडर को जिनको प्रोसेस पता नहीं है, तो आप जो डिजाइन दोगे करने का, वो डिजाइन एमुलेट करके वो एक्चुअली मल्टीपल लेवल पे उसको स्केल कर देगा। तो देखो आई एम टॉकिंग talking about 7 different steps of the same topic that you are saying. As of now, you do not have a clear idea what kind of research you are doing. It's not pure basic research. Thousands of researchers are already there. But what we need actually people like you is that somebody should come out with a deliverable. अब deliver क्या करें? Research तो मैंने कर लिया, आपने PhD कर ली. But what is that I'm delivering? What is that I have in hand? क्या मैं दे दूं डिफेंस पर्सनल को? अगर वो पूछे कि आपने मेरे से तो डेटा लिए, आप मेरे को क्या दिया आप? ये सवाल अगर आप पूछ लें, तो then you will be in trouble. Right? Yes, you will still get, but you will still feel embarrassment. You have taken data from someone, but you can't give anything back in return. That's my point, huh? Anybody else?
मॉर्निंग सर। सर मैं अप्लाइड रिसर्च के विषय में मतलब सोच रहा था, जैसे कि सोशोलॉजिकल थ्योरीज है, क्रिमिनोलॉजिकल थ्योरीज, उसको अप्लाई करके जो करंट में पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेशन में प्रॉब्लम फेस करते हैं, साइकोलॉजिकल प्रॉब्लम फेस करते हैं, कुछ इन्वेस्टिगेशन में भी बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं, तो वो उसको सॉल्यूशन वो सॉल्व करना चाहता हूँ सर, तो उसके बारे में रिसर्च करना चाहता हूँ।
रिसर्च शुरू कर दिया है क्या?
नहीं सर, अभी जस्ट मैं स्टार्ट किया हूँ, क्योंकि अभी
ओके, दिस इज योर इंटेंट। रिसर्च का एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट होता है, कंटेंट होता है, एक इंटेंट होता है। आपने खाली इंटेंट को बताया, अभी आप कंटेंट और कॉन्टेक्स्ट भी थोड़ा बहुत आपने बताया, बट इस रिसर्च को करने के लिए आपको क्लैरिटी डेवलप करनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि जो आपने कहा अभी वो एवरीबडी इज टेलिंग ऑन रोड, सबके मन में यही प्रॉब्लम है, और पुलिस वाले भी यही कहते हैं कि हम भी क्या करें, लोगों की एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि हम लोग सब सॉर्ट आउट कर लें, हम अपना तो खुद का सॉर्ट आउट नहीं कर पाते हैं, अब जनता का सॉर्ट आउट करने लगे हैं। अब सवाल ये उठता है कि इनका काम है कि सोल्यूशन अगर आप दो, अब वो उसे एग्जीक्यूट करेंगे। भाई पॉलिसी मेकर एंड पॉलिसी एग्जीक्यूटर दो अलग लोग होते हैं ना, तो पुलिस इज पॉलिसी एग्जीक्यूटर, पॉलिसी मेकिंग तो आप करोगे ना, तो पॉलिसी मेकिंग में आपका रिसर्च टॉपिक जो है स्पेसिफिक होनी चाहिए, से जनरल स्टेटमेंट से रिसर्च नहीं होता। ये एक आई एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू डिसाइड यू, आपने तो शुरू ही नहीं किया, आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू टेल इफ यू आर माय स्टूडेंट दैट this is a layman's language, convert it into a scientific language. जब तक वो साइंटिफिक लैंग्वेज में नहीं होगा, तब तक आप रिसर्च को पिन पॉइंट फोकस नहीं कर पाओगे। तो वो फोकस इंपॉर्टेंट है। जो सोशियोलॉजिकल थ्योरीज हैं, जो सोशल चेंजेस हैं, I mean, how they can be applied to policing. Policing is, I mean, security is a very important thing. I mean, everywhere people are finding difficult. For example, अमेरिका में गया था, तो mass shooting was a problem everywhere. Everybody, अमेरिका में कोई साइकोलॉजिस्ट या सोशियोलॉजिस्ट की कमी है क्या? नहीं है कमी, पर क्यों नहीं है ये सब कंट्रोल कर पाते हैं? नहीं कर पाते, बिकॉज ये दोनों हाथ के बीच की जो कॉम्प्लीमेंटरिटी है वो नहीं बन पा रहे हैं। जो लोग रिसर्च करते हैं और जो लोग डिलीवर करते हैं, दोनों के बीच में परफेक्ट मैरिज नहीं है। तो कोई ऐसा काम करना चाहिए, जो ऐसी पॉलिसी बनानी चाहिए जो कि एक्सपेरिमेंटली फुल प्रूफ हो, तभी तो लोग बिना क्वेश्चन किए आपसे आपका जो पॉलिसी है उसे एग्जीक्यूट करेंगे, रेकमेंड करेंगे। तो जब तक वो स्टेज नहीं आ पाता है, तब तक हमें तो इंतजार करना पड़ेगा। Is there anybody? तो आगे के लिए क्या आप क्या जानना चाहते हो, ये बताओ। आई गेव यू द ग्राउंड फिलोसफी। अब अगर डिजाइन देखना चाहते हो तो मैं आपको 10 मिनट में क्या व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट डिजाइन अवेलेबल मैं दिखा दूं, ठीक है। मैंने हर तरह का रिसर्चेस का जो डिजाइन है, खास करके criminal and behavioral sciences में and all kinds of science, any science you can talk about. How many sciences we have? We have physical sciences, we have life sciences, we have social sciences, and we have got formal sciences. चार ही तरह का science है, कोई fifth category science नहीं है. Only 4 types: physical science, life science, social science, and formal science. For any science, whatever be the science, there are some common methodologies. हम वो common methodologies को आपको एक के बाद एक दिखा रहे हैं without trying to explain, because I'll pass it on to you all these slides. Then you can decide which design fits best to you, and then probably if time permits somewhere, not today, at some point of time during my stay here, discuss with you. That's the goal. Okay. Steven, the other slide. Is it clear to all of you what I'm trying to say? I think back एकदम back में चले जाओ. नहीं एकदम back में. नीचे देखो एक कोई रिसर्च डिजाइन भी जो एक है, देखो उससे नीचे इसको देखो ना. Well, what I'm going to talk to you now is the execution part of your research. That once your mental clarity has developed, that yes, मेरे को ऐसे ही research करना है, then you start thinking about steps क्या है. What are the steps I should follow? So the steps are like this. These are the steps in research. The steps in research. It's not working. These are the steps in research. आपको रिसर्च में सबसे पहले तो एक स्ट्रेटेजी डेवलप करना होता है कि आप फील्ड पे रिसर्च करोगे या रिसर्च करोगे, आप कोरिलेशनल रिसर्च करोगे या एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च करोगे, आप टेस्ट बेस्ड रिसर्च करोगे या एक्सपेरिमेंट बेस्ड रिसर्च करोगे. ये सबसे पहले आपको स्ट्रेटेजी डेवलप करना होता है. अगर आपको एक्सपेरिमेंट बेस्ड रिसर्च करना है तो बेसिकली जनरली हम लोग लैब पे ही रिसर्च करते हैं. अगर हम लैब के बियॉन्ड रिसर्च करना चाहते हैं तो जनरली हम कोरिलेशनल रिसर्च करते हैं. हम देखना चाहते हैं कि भाई फॉर एग्जांपल जो जीडीपी है, ओलंपिक में जो मेडल है, दोनों में कोई रिलेशनशिप है कि नहीं. I had no idea unless I read a study very recently come up that countries' GDP and medals in the international sports associations are highly related to each other. Highly related to each other. And I mean, these are some kind of research where you actually try to develop a strategy, whether you will do correlational research, experimental research. Correlational research are exploratory research. Experimental research is a exploitative research. Cause effect relationship अगर देखना है तो it would be experimental research. दोनों वेरिएबल्स के बीच में रिलेशनशिप अगर देखना है, it becomes a correlational research. तो स्ट्रेटेजी का मतलब है कि आप correlational रिसर्च करोगे या एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च करोगे. फंडामेंटल क्लियर है कि कोरिलेशनल रिसर्च का मतलब है कि आपके पास 2 या 3 वेरिएबल है, आप वेरिएबल्स के बीच में अगर रिलेशनशिप देखना चाहो तो इट बिकम्स ए कोरिलेशनल रिसर्च. और अगर एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च करना है, आपको कॉज एंड इफेक्ट पता है, कॉज एंड इफेक्ट के बीच में जो आई मीन कॉज को वैरी करें तो इफेक्ट वेरी करता है कि नहीं देखना है, तो इट बिकम्स एन एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च। तो कोरिलेशनल रिसर्च में 2 या 3 वेरिएबल होते हैं, एक सेट ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स ग्रुप्स होते हैं, और एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च में 2 या 3 ग्रुप्स होते हैं, वेरिएबल एक ही रहता है। एक या मल्टीपल जैसे भी हो, आप वेरिएबल को एक या मल्टीपल वेरिएबल रखते हो। तो एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च में आपके पास ग्रुप्स कई हैं, वेरिएबल एक है। कोरिलेशनल रिसर्च में वेरिएबल्स कई हैं, ग्रुप एक है। ये दोनों फंडामेंटल है। स्ट्रेटेजी आपको शुरू में लेना है। उसके बाद आपको देखना है कि ह्यूरिस्टिक्स क्या है। ह्यूरिस्टिक्स माने आर्ट एंड साइंस ऑफ डेवलपिंग ए हाइपोथेसिस। आप लिटरेचर को कैसे स्टडी करना चाहते हो, व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ हाइपोथेसिस दैट यू जनरेट। सो basically the kind of literature survey that you do, it has got a art and it has got a science both. The art and science of doing literature survey is called heuristics. कैसे आप करोगे, आप मेटा एनालिसिस करके करोगे, आप सिस्टमैटिक रिव्यू करके करोगे, आप क्रिटिकल रिव्यू करके करोगे, कैसे करना चाहते हो। और आप अगर रिव्यू ना करके आप हाइपोथेसिस को जनरेट करना चाहते हो, तो आप क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च करके हाइपोथेसिस जनरेट करके फिर उसको टेस्ट करते हो। दीज आर कॉल्ड ह्यूरिस्टिक्स। ये सेकंड स्टेप है। थर्ड स्टेप आपका है कि रिसर्च जो करना है, चाहे कोरिलेशनल हो या एक्सपेरिमेंटल हो, आपके पास लॉजिस्टिक्स क्या है। लॉजिस्टिक्स का मतलब आपके पास टूल क्या क्या है, कौन सा टूल यूज करोगे। आपके पास ईईजी है, आपके पास एमआरआई है, आपके पास कोई सॉफ्टवेयर है, आपके पास कोई साइकोलॉजिकल स्केल है, कोई साइकोमेट्रिक स्केल है। दीज आर कॉल्ड टूल्स। बिना टूल्स के तो आप रिसर्च नहीं कर पाओगे ना, तो उसे कहते हैं लॉजिस्टिक्स। तो आपको लॉजिस्टिक्स, आपके पास सपोज यू हैव गॉट अ वेरी गुड रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम, बट आपके पास टूल नहीं है, तो कैसे करोगे रिसर्च को। तो थर्ड स्टेज में आपको डिसाइड करना है कि आपके पास टूल क्या क्या है, विच इज कॉल्ड लॉजिस्टिक्स। लॉजिस्टिक के बाद जो आता है उसे कहते हैं टैक्टिक्स। टैक्टिक्स का मतलब रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी, कि कौन सा रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी को आप यूज करोगे। तो आप जो जानना चाहते हो रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी, वो एक्चुअली आपका फोर्थ स्टेप है, डेटा कलेक्शन के ठीक पहले, कि कौन सा टैक्टिक हम यूज करेंगे रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी, ताकि हम डेटा को कलेक्ट कर सकें। डेटा कलेक्ट होने के बाद आप उसे स्टैटिस्टिक्स करते हो। सो heuristics, logistics, tactics, statistics. Statistics करते हो, statistics करके फिर आप उस thesis को लिखते हो या पेपर को पब्लिश करते हो। These are the steps in research. हम बहुत डिटेल में इसके आगे बताना नहीं चाहेंगे। 10 मिनट में हम आपको बताएंगे कि what are the different designs available. Well, जो इससे पहले मैंने आपको बताया उसको थोड़ा सिंप्लीफाई कर दिया मैंने, कि सिंप्लीफिकेशन में ये है कि आप खाली इतना डिसाइड कर लो, आप प्योर रिसर्च करोगे या अप्लाइड रिसर्च करोगे। फिर डिसाइड कर लो आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है, कि एक्सप्लोरेटरी रिसर्च, डिस्क्रिप्टिव रिसर्च, कोरिलेशनल रिसर्च और एक्सप्लेनेटरी रिसर्च। एक्सप्लेनेटरी रिसर्च इज एक्चुअली कोरिलेशन एक्सपेरिमेंट। कोरिलेशनल रिसर्च इज बेस्ड ऑन कोरिलेशन। डिस्क्रिप्टिव रिसर्च माने आप खाली ऑब्जर्व करते हो, और एक्सप्लोरेटरी रिसर्च माने आपको कुछ नहीं पता है, पर आप नए सिरे से दो वेरिएबल के बीच में जो रिलेशनशिप है उसे देखना चाहते हैं। आप डेटा को कैसे गैदर करोगे। क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च, आपको पता है क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च करके कुछ है, सुना है ना। तो क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च आपका डेटा क्या क्वालिटेटिव रहेगा या क्वांटिटेटिव स्कोर रहेगा। दोनों में से अगर आप कोई डिसाइड कर लो तो आपका रिसर्च ये टेम्पलेट बन जाता है। एक बार टेम्पलेट आपका बन गया, फिर उसके बाद ये स्टेप्स है, वो स्टेप्स आपको सुपरवाइजर बता देंगे, वैसे स्लाइड्स में है, आप चाहे तो एक बार देख लीजिएगा कि डिटेल स्टेप्स क्या क्या है। क्योंकि इस समय मैं स्टेप्स नहीं बताना चाहता, मैं आपको बताना चाहता है कि व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ डिजाइंस अवेलेबल। ओके, ये इसकी समरी है। एक्चुअल डिजाइन हम आपको बता रहे हैं एक एक करके, क्विकली आप देखते चलें। I am not going to explain it. एक होता है descriptive design. Keep reading so that I can keep moving. These are called descriptive design. This is called ethnographic design. मैंने ethnography मैंने आपको अगर किसी गैंग के बारे में क्रिमिनल गैंग के बारे में जाननी है तो you have to be part of the criminal gang. And then for a day you have to be leader of that gang. Then only you will be able to collect data. It's called ethnographic research. It's called action research. Whether you are doing an action research, that is, research is not to understand a process. What you are going to deliver. Action क्या लेनी है आपको? तो जब आप एक्शन लेते हो, कोई फॉर एग्जाम्पल शी टॉक्ड अबाउट हाई एल्टीट्यूड रिसर्च, आप कोई टूल बना के देखते हो कि एक्चुअली the depression and anxiety in those people who stayed in high altitude can actually be get rid of or not, then it becomes an action research. So if you want to know that crime and violence which is found mostly in a particular area of the city, आप एक्शन प्लान बनाते हो, एग्जीक्यूट करते हो, देखते हो जब तक उसका इम्पैक्ट आपको न मिल जाता है तब तक आप रिसर्च करते रहते हो. That's for action research. This is called participatory action research. Like आप सोशियोलॉजी की रिसर्च कर रहे हो, इसलिए मैं चाह रहा था कि कुछ आप एग्जाम्पल दे दे ताकि मैं बता दूं. हम अपना एग्जाम्पल अगर ब्रेन साइंसेस का बता दें क्योंकि मोस्ट ऑफ माय रिसर्चेस आर ऑन ब्रेन साइंसेस, then it would not be relevant for you. That's why I wanted topics from you. Participatory community research is that in a community, like in COVID, a lot of researches were done within the community. तो कम्युनिटी बेस्ड कोई प्रिंसिपल आप लागू करें और उसके बाद उसको फॉलो अप करें, देखें कि उस पर्टिकुलर पॉलिसी या प्रोसेस से आप कोविड को रोक पाए हो कि नहीं. जैसे कोविड में वी फेस लॉट ऑफ ट्रबल, but communities themselves helped each other. They kept on talking through mobiles, through telephones, so that people don't feel isolation. And people, COVID में क्या हुआ था? One hand they are isolated from others, on other hand they had got proximity stress. On the other hand we had a proximity stress. एक तरफ तो isolation है, you are not meeting your colleagues and friends, and दूसरे second यह है कि within home you are developing proximity stress. So how the action could actually be executed through participatory community research. If you are doing such kind of research, it is action research. You can do historical research, criminal historical research. Like what is happening in Palestine and Israel. There are historical roots in 73. What has happened in Ukraine and Russia, there are historical roots behind it. What is happening between India and Pakistan, India and China, there are historical roots. For everything there is a root. So, basically, if you want to know in criminological, behavioral sciences, if you want the past archival researchers to explore and do research, then it becomes a historical research. Why this lady got Nobel Prize in economics? Only yesterday it was. She did research on historical facts that women before 1800 were equally participating in job market. But why after 1800 women participation has become less. We found industrialization, which really require muscular power, has led to women to be away from the job market. I mean, that's the research she got Nobel Prize. And that's entirely based on secondary data and archival research. So everywhere you can actually do historical research, but historical research हम कौन करते हैं? किसी को भी बोलो वो आगे का सोचता है, पीछे का देखता ही नहीं है. So if you are doing anything of that sort, it will be called historical research. You can do case study method in forensic research, in behavioral sciences. A lot of case study researches are done, but case study researches are not so easy. Case study because आजकल single case study कोई नहीं करता. There is a method, new method that has come up, which is called methodology. I'll show it to you. And adaptive methodology, collective case studies are being done. The number of cases are there. You analyze them, compare them, and then come out with a critical solution. That's called comparative case studies. Like serial killer. It's a case study. How you understand the psychopathy, the tendency in serial killer. So you can do case study method and then come out with a proper design. But these are not so simple. I am telling it in one word, but they are all difficult designs. Then comes experimental design. Experimental design are mostly lab-based designs, cause-effect relationship. There are three kinds of experimental designs: pre-experimental research design, true experimental research design, and quasi-experimental research design. Which design applies to you? You have to choose if you are really thinking of doing an experimental design. Mostly social experimental designs that you do are quasi-experimental designs. ये एग्जाम्पल देखो, हम देखना चाहते हैं कि जो लोग गाजर खाते हैं, कैरेट, whether their eyesight is better or not. Okay. तो हम इस स्टडी को कैसे करें? क्वासी एक्सपेरिमेंटल. Those who are wearing glasses and those who are not wearing glasses. So those who are wearing glasses, they have not consumed gajar because gajar में rhodopsin है. Rhodopsin helps in your eyesight. That's scientific knowledge. So quasi experimental research करके I can see it that those who are actually taking gajar, ऊपर वाले में देखो, they are taking carrot and they are not having glasses. But नीचे का देखो, those who are not taking gajar, they are wearing glasses. So this is called quasi experimental. I mean, jokingly I have said all this. Correlational design. How two things are related to each other. I mean, for example, the relationship between those who smoke also drink. Okay. So, I mean, smoke and drink there may be correlation, but the problem is that smoking and drinking may be isolated factors. But actually, the difference between correlation and causation is that whether the two variables are apparently related or not. Apparently, the word apparently, not directly. Agar they are directly related to each other, then it becomes experiment, causation, cause effect. If they are related to each other, for example, height and weight, they are apparently related to each other. Height and weight में कोई correlation नहीं है. वैसे correlation करो तो 0.9 आ जाएगा. But apparently कोई relationship नहीं है. Because height depends on age, weight also depends on age. Age को partial out कर दो, height and weight में कोई correlation नहीं है. Okay. So correlational relationship, those who are drinking are also smoking. It's a correlation. Apparently they are related. But actually there is no relationship. But if you want to see actual relationship, then smoking causes lung cancer. This is actual relationship. So correlation is always exploratory. experiment is always exploitative. You can have cross-sectional design, you can have longitudinal design, you can have cohort design. I mean, if you are doing longitudinal study, ये एग्जाम्पल मैंने दिया नीचे वाला, ये longitudinal study जो है, Harvard University में there is a study on happiness because I run a center on science of happiness. This study is being continuing from 1938 and still continuing. They want to see what is the fundamental and I mean why some people are happy and why some people are. Is it a choice or compulsion? That's a fundamental question. If people have the compulsion to be happy, they will never be happy. Because if you chase happiness, you will never be happy. And if it is a choice, people question if it is a choice, then why so many people are unhappy in this world? Okay. So a longitudinal study was planned in 1938 on 127 couples. The study is still continuing. Only 5 of them are surviving. The children, the study is still continuing on their children. And the latest report after 90 years, it has been found. It's still continuing. It will continue another 100 years actually. It says that the fundamentals behind happiness is relationship, not money. So Daniel Kahneman got Nobel Prize on this issue. Money cannot buy happiness, but happiness can buy money. Okay, if you're happy, you can buy money. There is something called adaptive design. Adaptive design, I don't think you have heard about it because adaptive design is a design जिसमें I don't start with a topic, I start with the data, and at every stage I change my research hypothesis. Every stage, it's a bottom-up research. जिसमें कि there is no fixed design. While you undertake research data collection, then you find the design is not suiting. You change your design. You adapt to a new design. You start with a topic, then you find the topic does not explain the data you have gathered. You change your topic. There is a method where you find that the statistics is not giving the actual picture what the data says. You change your statistics. So when such kind of design is adopted, it's called adaptive design. There are many kinds of adaptive design. Some are called rapid assessment research. Some are called qualitative comparative research. Some are says collective case studies. Some are says autoethnography. Some is called dialogical introspection. And some is called second person intersubjective inquiry. I am sure you have not heard about it because these methods are not there in the book. Very recently in different journals and literature, they have come up with the concept कि रिसर्च में हम अपने को क्यों बंद लेते हैं कि आपका सिनॉप्सिस सब हो गया, डिजाइन फाइनल है, आपको वही करना है जो आपने किया, जबकि आपको पता है कि व्हाट डूइंग समथिंग रॉन्ग. जब आप रिसर्च करते रहते हो ना, तब पता चलता है what you have initially decided which is not correct. It must be changed, but आपके पास चेंज करने का मौका नहीं रहता क्योंकि आपने ऑलरेडी रजिस्टर कर दिया है. It means कि रिसर्च करने से पहले हमें सब कुछ फिक्स कर लेना है. अगर आप फिक्स माइंडसेट पे चलते हो तो आप ट्रेडिशनल रिसर्च करके चलो. अगर आप माइंडसेट लेके चलो तो आप एडाप्टिव रिसर्च मेथड के चलो. तो एडाप्टिव रिसर्च में जैसे मैंने कहा कि फिक्स माइंडसेट में क्या है, आपको एक ही केस स्टडी करना है, इसे केस स्टडी कहते हैं. अब एडाप्टिव वाले कहते हैं कि नहीं, आप मल्टीपल केसेस स्टडी करो. मल्टीपल केसेस को स्टडी करके उसमें कंपैरिजन करके देखो कि ये केस स्टडी के ऊपर बेस करके जो कंक्लूजन आप ड्रॉ कर रहे हो वो करेक्ट है कि नहीं. तो lot of adaptive researches are coming up. आजकल तो ये है कि many people are doing research not on data, they are doing research on methodology. Whether a particular methodology is more applicable to forensic science or criminological science or behavioral science or computational science, जो भी है. Many people are doing research on methodology only in social sciences. These are called autonomous research. ये हमने बताया ना आपको, ऊपर वाला देखो जो शीशा है, कोई बंद करके पानी अपने नहीं निकलता, बच्चे खेलते हैं पानी आ जाता है, टैंक भर लेते हैं। ये बाथरूम वाला देखो बच्चों का अपने से बनाए, ये बिस्लेरी का जो 20 लीटर का वो होता है, वो अपने से डिजाइन करके बनाया। दिस इज ऑटोनोमस रिसर्च। क्लासरूम प्रैक्टिकल से रिसर्च बन के आया है, कई लोगों को प्राइम मिनिस्टर का अवार्ड मिला है टॉयलेट बनाने के लिए। तो क्वेश्चन ये है कि रिसर्च हमारी प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है। रिसर्च इज नॉट द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ दोज हु हैव डन मास्टर्स एंड फ्रॉम ए बिग इंस्टीट्यूशन। रिसर्च इज एवरीबॉडीज authority. Everybody is doing research. Unless you have got that mindset, you will not be able to do it even if you are in a very good institution. अब उसके बाद देखो लॉजिस्टिक डिजाइन। लॉजिस्टिक डिजाइन माने आप डेटा को कलेक्ट कैसे करोगे, वो भी एक डिजाइन का पार्ट है। एक तो डेटा कलेक्शन कर लिया मैंने, और डेटा कलेक्शन के समय what are the methods of data collection that you would be using? I have given you several methods. There are self-report methods, there are behavioral methods, there are biological methods, there are computational methods. देखते चलो एक एक करके, सब एक्सप्लेन करूं तो it will take lot of time. Does product experience impact our brain or body? I mean, you can do these experiments this is a method. एक मेथड तो आपका सर्वे मेथड होता है, वो भी मैं दिखाऊंगा आपको एक एक करके। एक सेल्फ रिपोर्ट मेथड होता है, सर्वे करो, साइकोमेट्री देखो, एक्सपीरियंस सैम्पलिंग कराओ, सिचुएशन जजमेंट दो, प्रोजेक्टिव टेक्निक यूज करो, थॉट लिस्टिंग करो, सेंटेंस कंप्लीशन, पिक्चर स्टार्टिंग, vendor gestalt karo. These are all projective techniques. There are certain subjective techniques. A lot of techniques are available. Which technique you are using to collect data is up to you. Survey design, for example. Survey more often we use in our research. Psychometric test use कर सकते हो, इसको SJT कहते हैं। आप इसको पढ़ के देखो, SJT situation judgment test. I don't think anybody is using situation judgment test. इस टेस्ट का आइटम पढ़ के देखो। सिचुएशन ये है कि when someone you respect humiliates you by making a crack in front of others about a mistake you have made, आप करते क्या? You go home and vow never to put yourself in such situation. This is one option. You make a sharp comeback. Second option. Third option, go home and write a letter to defend your position. Third option. Fourth option, make light of it if you can, and then tell the person privately how you felt. There are several ways. These are situations. Instead of an item, you give a situation, and then you give the response of. You see which situational response is taken. Civil services prelim में ऐसे ही question दिया जाता है. Those who are appearing for civil services, they will be getting SJT. There is something which I personally use in my research. It's called behaviometry, not psychometry. Whether you are really happy or not, we can use a thermal camera to understand it. If you are really happy, so certain portions of your face will have more vascularity of blood circulation. वो आपको दिखता नहीं है, क्योंकि स्किन कलर हमारा ऐसा है कि आप अगर आपकी vascularity, if you are very happy, इस एरिया में आपका ब्लड वेसल, ब्लड का सर्कुलेशन अधिक होनी चाहिए। पर आप उसको देखोगे कैसे? थर्मल कैमरा यूज करो, आप देख सकते हो। तो हम ट्रू हैप्पीनेस जानने के लिए थर्मल कैमरा यूज करते हैं। ये तो मैंने दिखाया आपको। फिर हमारा कंप्यूटेशनल मेथड है। Kevin has been using his computational method, AI technique use करके, and anatomical method use करके. There are a lot of methods. I do not want to go into great detail. Then आप डेटा को एनालाइज करते हो. This is a statistical chart. Generally, I give it to all my students. जिसमें कि स्टैटिस्टिक्स बुक में आपको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप पहले पिन पॉइंट कर लो which statistic you are going to use. अब ऐसा है, स्टैटिस्टिक इज सच ए टूल ना, आप दोनों वेरिएबल के बीच में रिलेशनशिप 0.4 देखना चाहो तो मैं बता दूंगा कौन सा कोरिलेशन विल गिव यू। आप अगर देखना चाहते हो कि दोनों के बीच में 0.9 होना है तो देयर इज अ डिफरेंट कोरिलेशनल मेथड। एक्चुअली स्टैटिस्टिक्स इज अ टूल, जैसे एआई इज अ टूल, स्टैटिस्टिक्स is also a tool. AI also depends on statistics only, regression and prediction. It's a tool only. अगर टूल को गलत ढंग से यूज करोगे तो डेटा भी आपको सही दिशा नहीं दे पाएगा। So based on that, you have to not only design it, not only develop a strategy, not only do the heuristics, not only do the tactics, you have to also use the proper statistics. Then only your true data will come. Otherwise, हम सब लोग सोचते हैं कि बहुत सारा SPSS के बेस पर स्टैटिस्टिक्स कर लें तो थीसिस विल क्लियर। That's a wrong way. We every day examine thesis, and we know if you do not understand the process behind statistics by giving an outcome, whether it is significant or not, it tells very badly about you, very badly, because based on that only you write a discussion on the thesis. और वो डिस्कशन अगर आपके गलत स्टैटिस्टिक की वजह से है तो आप तो ऑलटुगेदर डिफरेंट पिक्चर पेंट कर दोगे, एंड इट्स अ क्राइम। आई विल कॉल इट इज अ क्राइम। अगर हम पैरासीटामोल लेने के बाद बुखार उतारता है कि नहीं यह चेक करने के लिए कोई गलत स्टैटिस्टिक यूज कर ले और बोले कि नहीं पैरासीटामोल से तो नहीं उतर रहा है, तो आई एम मेकिंग ए क्राइम इन मेडिकल साइंस। Therefore, it's very important that you not only choose your right tactic, you also choose your right statistic. हो गया, your brain has become heavy. Now we can stop here. If you have got any specific question, I can answer. Otherwise, I'll take leave. If you have got any specific question, you can ask me. ठीक है, खड़े खड़े बोल दूं अगर कुछ है तो। अभी कुछ समय लगेगा। I'll pass on all these slides to all of you. You can go through. If you have got any question at a later point of time, I'm fine. Done.
I encourage you to ask questions if you have any.
Sir, my question is, the researcher is using exploratory research design, explanatory sequential mixed method, adopted grounded theory. Adopted grounded theory methodology.
Yeah, I understand grounded theory.
Yes, but I will complete first.
Okay.
So based on that, develop the new theory, criticization of the some theories also. Then need for the extent of the research. Based on the extent research, same need for that exploratory research design and exploratory sequential mixed method, and the theory need for the validity. So now need for the validity of the theory, what is the scientific name, how it is possible to the validity of the particular new theory. This is my question.
Look, what you have said is actually 7 and 8 PhD work at one go, because the purpose of doing ground theory is to generate a hypothesis. And after hypothesis, you test the hypothesis. After testing hypothesis, you develop a theory. After developing a theory, you find out the principles. And after finding out the principles, you go for the validity of it. Now, all these steps are actually, I can give you an example of this kind of research. one of my known students abroad. She is doing research on uh, uh, is near-death experience. Near-death experience. I mean, almost. I mean, some people had heart attack. 15 minutes तक कोई heart में response नहीं है, and then after 15 minutes, people get back to their consciousness and then explain उन 15 minutes में क्या हुआ. It's a grounded theory research. ठीक है. A lot of such researches are also done in military. In Israel, it is done. कि स्पेशल फोर्सेस को डेवलप करने के लिए उनको नियर डेथ में ले जाते हैं, ट्रेनिंग ऐसे ही देते हैं, इसको स्पेशल फोर्सेस कहते हैं, नियर डेथ पे ले जाते हैं थ्रेशोल्ड पॉइंट पे. अब देखिए, ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी का काम होता है कि हम लोगों में से किसी को पता नहीं है कि आफ्टर डेथ क्या होता होगा. तो lot of people are trying to do near death experience research in mixed method, what you are saying. बिकॉज इसको क्वांटिफाई भी करना पड़ेगा. खाली क्वालिटेटिव में आप रहोगे तो पीपल विल गेट योर व्यू पॉइंट बट विल नॉट अप्लाई एज लॉन्ग इट इज नॉट ट्रांसलेटेड इनटू क्वांटिटेटिव रिसर्च. तो इट वुड बी अ क्वालिटेटिव कम क्वांटिटेटिव, इट बिकम्स अ मिक्स मेथड रिसर्च. ठीक है. तो ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी, मिक्स मेथड रिसर्च. देन यू डेवलप ए थ्योरी. अब थ्योरी डेवलप करने के लिए हमें तो कई सारा केसेस चाहिए. दैट पर्टिकुलर लेडी इज एक्चुअली गॉट इन 89 such cases who could explain in operation theater or in the hospital their near-death experience. All those experiences are being gathered. Okay. And then I raised one such question. Does brain hallucinate conscious reality? What is the real consciousness? Is it while we are not consciously aware, as if we are hallucinating right now? So these questions and up to several stages, what you say, are actually 7-8 PhD thesis work. Instead of doing in that horizontal level, I would suggest you, if you are doing the research, to concentrate on grounded theory only and generate hypothesis. That would be a good piece of research. If not DSc research, it would be a DSc research more than PhD. If you can do that.
Yes, sir. Based on that, I generated the hypothesis. Then I formed a new theory also.
No, you cannot generate hypothesis. Now, grounded theory mein, you have to actually get all those responses. Qualitatively, you have to analyze it. And then if you analyze those data, then you have to come out with several hypotheses, and then you cannot say that I generated a hypothesis. The plausibility and feasibility of having that hypothesis must be tested by a third person, not by you. Yes. You are the researcher. So you may have the bias. Who will rectify that bias? You need to do it from a third party. So when a third party, through a proper analysis and study, that's a different study altogether. That's a different PhD. If you can come out with that and then say that, well, with a different study, we found that out of 3 or 4 hypotheses, this is the hypothesis which should be generated for future research. Then the second PhD is done. The third PhD would be that after having that hypothesis, then the fourth researches will start. And then you develop a theory, because I mean, from new research, you will develop a theory. From theory, then fifth research would be developing the principles of application. And the sixth research would be from principles of application to discovery of solution. When you come to the discovery of solution, then only the seventh research will come. So actually, what you are talking about, 6, 7 researches at one go. Okay. Done. It is saturated. Sorry.
Okay. I always remember Professor Mandal's beginning statement that if your research question is clear, half of your research is done. And I try to implement that with my work, with my students and scholars. I'm going to conclude, I'm actually trying to conclude first lecture. We talked about from no knowledge to new knowledge, and from new knowledge to building theories and applying those theories to application principles, discovery of solutions, and solutions to developing prototypes to production. And we talked about passion versus purpose research. We talked about intent and content and context research. So, generously explained the steps of the research, strategy, heuristics, logistics, as in also tools, tactics, and statistics. The most interesting thing we learned today is that you can not only do research with methodology, but you can do research on methodology itself. Sir, we are privileged to have heard you and your words about research, your own coin terms, not from any book or textbooks or any other research. All of us thank you very much on behalf of School of Criminology and Behavioral Science and Rashtraksha University, our student, faculty, colleagues, and ma'am. Thank you very much. I thank Dr. S.L. Vaya, madam, for connecting us to sir, and we keep bothering him. And I encourage students that you get in touch with me if you have specific research questions about your thesis or your dissertation. We'll again have an interactive session at SCBS Seminar Hall today or tomorrow after lunch. So if you get in touch with us, we'll let you know about it. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.